What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kind of different things. All right, so what we got going on today? We're about to check out a new casual geographic. I know we still have a few to catch up on that I missed over the months, but this one just dropped yesterday, so I wanted to get this one in. This one's the most generational crash outs in the animal kingdom. All right, this one sounds like it's going to be fun. All right, but before we get into this, remember, if you have not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, share this video. We're trying to get the numbers up on this one so we can get into monetization. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and check this out. Let's see some animals crash out. Let's go. I've seen clips of that video, but that's always where it cuts off. Please tell me he survived. Please tell me he survived. Whew. Oh, we recently saw this one.
It's like a backyard bully brawl.
Crash out. Here's the definition, and here's the definition.
Hold up, that went best. Because I'm like, what is the actual definition?
Crash out. Here's the
definition. Someone who is constantly on the verge of losing their ish and is ready to throw everything away at a moment's notice. All right.
Definition, and here's the definition, but in picture. And if it's not clear now, it will be by the end of this video. Crash outs exist in all walks of life. You know what they say, where there's a will, there's a way. For a Chris to get rocked by a Fresh Prince flick of the wrist. But today, we're going to talk about the biggest crash outs in nature, and there's a lot to choose from, so some had to get left off. I won't be talking about hippos, honey badgers, or Cape buffalo. I've said my piece on this roid-raging homicidal hydro horse on steroids. We already know Africa's Black Death is a hunter's nightmare, for humans and lions alike, and I have an entire video on this biracial Black Air Force hate-mongering Hufflepuff. But what I will talk about are rhinos, because I've said that rhinos are legally blind, terminally traumatized anxiety tanks that'll buck up to anything from a butterfly to a buffalo. Except I was wrong. Recent studies show that the eyesight of rhinos might not even be that bad. It's just their attitude, which means that rhino fully punted a warthog purposely and unprovoked, while this one perceived an assault on 8 wheels and still went for a literal headshot. There's a reason why a group of rhinos is an honest-to-God crash, but they're not even the biggest crash outs in Africa. That would be elephants. Like literally, they're the biggest. Whoever made this up actively helped escort people off the census, which they don't need help doing since elephants flatlined over 600 people last year. But it isn't until elephants hit must that they really become crash out kings. Must is when a sudden burst of hormones turns elephants into 12,000-pound drunk lusting frat boys. The word must even comes from the word intoxicated, and a down bad bull's testosterone levels can spike 60 times higher than normal. And that's where the crash out comes in. No animal is safe from an entitled elephant that can't handle rejection. Not even baby elephants. Eating a toddler because his mom won't relieve you? Crash out. But the real degeneracy didn't
just over getting rejected. Whew. So humans aren't the only ones. I've seen so many dudes do that over getting rejected. Just flip out and act stupid. It's like, come on now. Like, one thing I love about these videos, it shows how much we are just like them. Like the animal kingdom, we're just a part of the animal kingdom. We're just the most intelligent, the most successful. But we're still animals at the end of the day. Because the way he described that, I was really thinking about dudes in the club who get pissed off when the girl that they want to take home rejects them flat out. Or chooses a different dude. Man, the instant spiral is insane. This is just that same thing in animal form.
Eating a toddler because his mom won't relieve you? Crash out. But the real degeneracy didn't show itself until humans got involved. Yeah, it's that kind of story. Poaching is evil, we all know it, and it's often the older, more mature bulls that get hit the hardest, for obvious reasons. What wasn't expected was removing elephant OGs from the population meant that the younger, immature teenage bulls and musk got even more out of pocket. And what do you get when you have unruly 6-ton pests with no father figure to keep them in line? Hell if I know. There was a period in the 90s where 3 young
oh man, why do you keep replaying that clip? Oh.
Bulls that got rejected by their own kind, resorting to violating and killing not 1, not 2, not 10, but 63 rhinos. Fatherless behavior for an elephant apparently means turning a rhino from a tight end to a whiteout, and it wasn't until this season more mature bulls were brought back in that the rhino ravaging eventually stopped. And it's not just males that can choose violence. We can't forget that time an elephant traveled across India just to life-deprive a 70-year-old senior citizen while she was getting water. For context, that elephant escaped from the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary and traveled over 100 miles to the Rapai village in Odisha. Being homicidal for over 100 miles straight is already menace behavior. What solidified it was that same herd pulling up to that woman's funeral later that day and paying everything but respects. And that same elephant grabbed her soul-evacuated 0 HP body and proceeded to put her in the negatives. Basically, she got put on a show.
Negative HP. Oh man. Oh, I love the jokes. Oh, but still, that one was wild when that story hit. We still don't know. The rumors circulating is that, you know, she was involved with poachers and everything in some fashion, and the elephant remembered her and everything. But to this day, we still don't know the exact reason why. The actual factual reason why. Everything is speculation, and it will probably end that way. What we do know is that she did something. She did something, and that elephant wanted her to get back so bad. Oh, man, be kind to animals, because they will remember you. Oh, man.
Sure, except the shirt was reversible, and after desecrating her corpse, Dessert was destroying the woman's house along with several others. Now, many have said the woman Maya Murmu had it coming and was involved in poaching, and this was a case of an elephant not forgetting or forgiving. It also could have been someone's grandmother getting murked twice and memed on Twitter all because of RNG. We'll never know the why, but what we do know is my favorite animal is capable of crash outs of catastrophic proportions. And now we got the smallest crash out in the world. When a colony of Calabopsis saundersea ants gets attacked, some of the soldiers will rupture 2 huge poison-filled glands and literally blow themselves up. They don't just seppuku themselves, they also rain a toxic corrosive glue that either traps the op ants in place or just burns them alive. It's self-sacrificing altruistic behavior meant to defend the colony, but that is one hell of an escalation. One species of termite also has a concept of kamikaze themselves, and they have toxic glands that actually grow as they get older. That means the same old worker termites with dull mandibles that can't fight or forage as well as their juniors also carry the most potent explosive backpacks in the colony. So their last act of service involves eviscerating themselves in a rain of internal organs, intestines, and toxins, which proves that the most dangerous crash out is the one with nothing left to lose. For reference, that's like breaking into—
Pretty much. Imagine a species evolved to be basically like suicide bombers. Naturally. It's like it just grows there and it's just ready for when that time comes. Like, whew, man, nature's wild.
To a house, and the last thing you see is a senile 90-year-old rushing you with a bomb strapped to their chest. But the wildest crash out might be what pea aphids do once a predator breaks into their home, because not only will soldiers come together and turn themselves into fleshy fireworks, they'll use their own bodily fluids to plug up the opening. Even if it means they get left outside in past tense, even if it means they suffocate on their own insides, and even if the process senses subtracts them instantly. It's one thing to self-destruct to backpedal a predator, or even after already being eaten, which aphids actually do. Using Flex Seal made out of your own guts for home repairs is exactly the type of behavior this video is about. But if elephants violating the natural order didn't already tell you, the worst crash outs are the ones humans created. And this black Air Force B is the result of one of the biggest oopsies in human history. Back in the 50s,
Crossbreeding bees. Got the killer bee.
African bees were brought to Brazil and crossbred with their more domesticated European cousins. The idea was, if they could combine the two, they could create a bee that was more efficient than the Europeans in tropical climates, while also being less defensive than the African counterparts. But in one of the most consequential f***ups possible, a local beekeeper accidentally released 26 swarms of Africanized bees, including queens. But experts said not to worry, that the bees would either die out in the foreign climate or get bred out of existence by the already present European bees.
Nope.
Yes, but actually no.
By the 60s, they made it across the country. By the 80s, they hit Mexico. By the 90s, they were popping up in the US. And today, the Africanized assault has spread throughout America like a rageaholic rash. And here's the thing with playing God with bees. You better be prepared for hell. These Africanized bees were way meaner than anything this side of the Atlantic had ever seen. They were way more aggressive, much less forgiving, and the same honey merchants that were enough to legitimately punk elephants, that's not a joke by the way, were doing numbers on unsuspecting people. You see, where European bees might send 10 to 20 guard bees after you, the Africanized flying mob will pull up in the hundreds. And where European bees might chase you for a couple feet, the African variety will chase trespassers for a quarter of a mile, assuming you even get that far.
Now, the one thing I don't like is the fact they've been labeled the African killer bees. Let's get this straight. They are a crossbreed of African and European bees. So they're a crossbreed. They're not purely African killer bees. I hate it when, like, I know he's saying it because that's the actual term that's used, but I hate the fact that that's the actual, like, legitimate term that's used. They are a crossbred species that shouldn't have been here in the first place. We made them. They're not natural African bees. They're not natural European bees. They're a crossbreed of both, and this is the result.
Irony is, African bees have smaller hives. That means these gangflies weaponize a higher percentage of their hive just to go after you. Add the fact that the very smell of bee venom is like a Batman signal to the rest of the hive, and you realize just how badly that one beekeeper screwed us over. Speaking of venom, you probably know that honeybees die after stinging since the stingers are barbed and attached to their abdomen, causing attacking bees to literally disembowel themselves. What you might not know is that stinger will continue pumping venom into you long after the bee has become a was. Now that's just doing the most. That's how you get stories of people being chased by vindictive swarms. Oh, and by the way, it's proven if you try to duck the fate by jumping in the water, they will wait, sometimes with fatal consequences. In 2013, a Texas man died after being stung over 1,000 times, and the bee still had enough malice left over to leave his wife and daughter with 100 apiece. It says a lot that the dietary habits of the Crash Out mascot might have helped create one of the most infamous crash crowds in the air. But not all crash outs are fueled by hate. Some are powered by love. Courting bald eagles will interlock talons and plummet down towards the earth, only to separate at the last possible second. Because apparently feathery foreplay means death spiraling in a questionable game of chicken. Apparently, it's to test each other's fitness as a possible partner. You know, separate the strong from the strongest. Except
like getting someone to like you by skydiving with them.
does the opposite when the entangled avians crash land into trees, water, or sometimes straight pavement and take each other out the dating pool. And bald eagles mate for life, so where do you even go after your vow renewal turns into a wake that only one of you is conscious for? A study showed that eagles will also death spiral with rivals, so it's really a case of either f me or fight me or just don't waste my time. But that makes even less sense, because at least with a mate, the logic is you're trying to find the strongest, most eligible single to spend the rest of your life with. Handing death a 2-for-1 BOGO deal because you had beef and literally couldn't let it go is the definition of crashing out. At least when it happens with deer like moose, you know it's really bad luck. But voluntarily interlocking toes just to die with someone you claim to hate, like what's really going on here? But that relationship's nowhere near as toxic as the house sparrows. It's like Tweety listening to NBA Youngboy. It's a honey badger with wings and an op to every other bird, but especially their own kind. Okay, so the crashing out is caused by the fact that house sparrows are monogamous and mate for life. There are also serial cheating air strumpets, and 15% of sparrow children born aren't even related to the male raising them. Cheating isn't a foreign concept to birds. Thoughts and prayers out to the penguin that got dogged out, got his cloaca kicked by his wife's boyfriend, begged for her back, got beat again, only to get rejected and bust his the third time. Yeah, no way he goes out that sad. Male sparrows that suspect their partner of cheating get their revenge by purposely feeding their children less, bordering on starvation. The thing is, he has no way of knowing which chick's actually his. He only goes by how much time the mother spends away from the nest. Basically, imagine your dad starves you within an inch of your life, all because your mom spent the equivalent of 10 extra minutes at the grocery store. But female sparrows ain't sweet either. The difference is she cheats with better genetic quality, or you could say high value males, while the male cheats to spread his seed as far as physically possible. Except that the female catches on to the cheating, she responds by slaughtering his entire family, children and all. And it's scientifically proven that butchering the babies offers no advantage to the offending female. It's just pure love of the game. Cheating's never right, but when your get back gets children buried, you have lost them.
Hey, at least with some birds and everything, they'll go into overdrive and lay more eggs after doing a massacre. Like they'll have a internal response. Them, they're just like, nope, we're just doing it because F him and his family.
Plot, especially since the females most likely to commit baby cancellation are second wives, as in they got with a cheater, got with him due to cheating, only to wipe out the entire first family. Also, I just thought about it, she also has no way of knowing which chicks are his. That means she really just life retires any baby sparrow she comes across. Yeah, that's a crash out of the highest order. And right up there with them has to be this frog. It's a culinary crash dummy off the fact that an Argentine horned frog would rather choke to death trying to swallow something physically bigger than they are than just give it up. Scientists have found expired frogs with their stomachs torn open out of pure stubbornness. It's a gluttonous breathing pot of Greek card come to life. Not only that, they're terrible swimmers, embarrassingly bad jumpers, and yo, they don't even rib it.
Like, have y'all ever seen like those feeding videos of people who have like pet frogs and they'll show them like, you know, feeding them different things and everything? You'll see some where they'll put the frogs in there together and they'll all be the same size, and you'll see them trying to eat each other, and the owner will they'll obviously separate them because you'll see the same frogs in like the next video, so they're not letting them, you know, do this to themselves. They're not letting them tear their stomachs open, but they're just showing on display like, yeah, they are really this gluttonous and they don't care. They will try to eat anything. Just be happy frogs are not big enough to try to eat us. They're not big enough to attempt it. Because if they were, oh man, a lot of people will be disappearing.
Fool done sold every aspect of being a frog just to moonlight as Jabba the Gut. They can even develop amphibian corneal lipidosis, where they hold on to so much fat, they literally accumulate fat deposits on their eyes that blind them. To be fair, it's usually from overfeeding in captivity, but my brother in Christ, even Nakado Avocado put the fork down at some point. Especially since frogs...
But yeah, the overfeeding, that's definitely on the human's part, but it can definitely happen in the wild if they find themselves in a place where they can have a feeding frenzy nonstop. So definitely for, you know, the ones in captivity, that's the fault of the owner. But at the same time, the frogs, they don't care. They just don't care.
Can't vomit. The best this kitchen crash out can do is fully eject their stomachs. But luckily, they're not a threat to you. Next is a crash out that the majority of the American audience has to sidestep on a daily basis. Which is funny because the Canada goose nearly got put on an eternal milk carton due to overhunting and habitat loss. In fact, we fully thought they were out of stock in the 50s, until a small flock was found in Rochester, Minnesota. And with the help of the Migratory Bird Treaty Act in the US and the Migratory Birds Convention Act in Canada, along with conservation efforts, the Canada goose was able to make a comeback. And humanity and geese lived happily ever. Absolutely not. Yeah, the cobra chicken came back with a vengeance. I called the sparrow an airborne honey badger. Nah. It's just barcoded assault with wings. Easily the most undeserved arrogance I've ever seen on an animal. And that's really what it is. This damn velociraptor has some wildly...
Didn't care that it was a tiger. It was like, what you want? You want some?
Irrational confidence. They're like Family Guy. They nearly got canceled, came back, and by God do they not miss a chance to punish us for it. Even Sully's heroic landing in the Hudson wouldn't have even been needed if a goose didn't try to run a fade with a plane. Just proof that you can get a lot of mileage at a false unearned valor. Because it's a bluff. Geese nest on the ground, so they only really can respond to a threat to minor safety by implementing the honey badger method, by raising hell until you meet someone that takes you there. Add the fact that they've managed to lose their fear of humans and you have a honk-happy threat to national security. I've even read reports of them apparently luring chasing dogs into deep water just to attack and harass them until they eventually drown in exhaustion. To be fair, you could just leash your dog. Oh, also, goose tongue. But yeah, that attitude's a bluff, and they read body language, so act like you've been around a goose before and you'll probably be fine. So why are geese so mean? They'd probably be dead if they weren't, but at least they're not capable of really damaging anything but your pride. Complete opposite of chimpanzees, my word. Probably a top 3 crash out in nature, cause you really never know what could set this chainsaw with thumbs off.
Wait. What do you throw at him?
Top 3 crash out in nature, cause you really never know what could set this chainsaw with thumbs off. Change your hairstyle for the first time in 10 years? Yeah, you just lost your face privileges. Push one of your troop mates a little too far?
Ooh, man, he brought that clip back. I remember that story in that episode. Oh, man. I still feel sorry for that lady. But still, don't try to own one of these. They're not pets. They're not pets at all.
Call it Kaizen the way you about to get jujutsu jumped. Do a fucking barrel roll? Absolutely not. Not in these parts. Chimps and really primates in general have a sense of fairness. Do something they view as unfair? Oh, buddy. You finna find out why they're the prime ministers of unproportional reactions. This man decided to surprise his former pet chimp with a chocolate cake for his birthday. The real surprise was 2 male chimps getting out and mutilating the man for not serving them a slice first. I'm not gonna list the full extent of his injuries. I have a full video doing that. Just know the first 2 hospitals denied him entry because they literally thought he was a lost cause. Monkeys in captivity have also been known to
that photo right there. Ugh. How did the other 2 get out though? You would think that they would have done a better job of keeping them contained, but I guess not.
Hospitals denied him entry because they literally thought he was a lost cause. Monkeys in captivity have also been known to mob a member of their own for receiving more food than the others. And when I was 8, a chimp temper tantrum nearly had me halfway to Helen Keller. Almost had me rocking the Nick Fury fit. And we cannot forget that time monkeys in India went on a campaign of dropping dogs from roofs after one allegedly attacked a baby of their own. Yeah, primates are some Hall of Fame crash outs. Question is, what could possibly be more destructive?
Before we even get to that, let's just remember that they are just like us. Imagine how many times humanity has caused massacres over one little thing. Not to say like, you know, losing a child is a little thing, but when you compare it to taking out and trying to take out an entire society, then yeah, one is definitely bigger than the other, you know? So yeah, primates, we are one of them.
Well, tigers are easily one of the most vengeful creatures alive, and the moment this striped population control wants you dead, you might as well lease a casket. There's plenty of stories of tigers going from 0 to 1,000. In 2007, 3 teenagers that may or may not have been under the influence taunted 243-pound Tatiana the tiger, reportedly even pelting her with pine cones from a slingshot. Tati cleared a 12-foot mow, severely mauled 2 of the teens, and killed the third. In 2016, a tiger ripped apart an infamous...
First of all, I have no sympathy for those teens in that sense, because why would you throw things at a tiger? Because you thought you were safe? I think that's the biggest problem with humans. We think that if we can get away with it, we could just be the biggest a-holes ever. And then when it gets flipped on us, then we went, oh, we're victims. No, you caused that on yourself. If you had just left the tiger alone, nothing would have happened.
He mauled 2 of the teens and killed the third. In 2016, a tiger ripped apart an infamous poacher named Baby only 4 days after his group reportedly shot his mate. In 97, a hunter named...
Again, like most tiger stories, I'm rooting for the tiger because usually it's somebody always mess with the tiger first. I don't believe I've heard a single story about a tiger going out of its way to take down any humans just for fun, you know? We'll see that in other animals, definitely, but I haven't yet to hear stories about tigers doing that. It's always we did something to the tiger first. So I have yet to hear one of these stories and be in a position where I felt sorry for the person who got attacked, got mauled, got tore up. I've always been on the side of the tiger because, hey, it took out his mate. He took one of them out. Come on, what would you do? What would you do? I'm on the tiger side.
Baby only 4 days after his group reportedly shot his mate. In 97, a hunter named Vladimir Markov not only shot a tiger, but had the audacity to steal his kill. As a result, the Whisker John Wick stalked his cabin, tore anything that smelled like him to shreds, including his mattress and bedding, and apparently even demolished an outhouse Markov had used. As you can guess, the story ended around the same time Vladdy did, once the Siberian assassin was there to greet him at his house. And then there's this.
Which means he took the time to destroy your house first. Insult to injury. Made sure you was alive to see it and then took you out. See? That's why cats are so intelligent.
That he did, once the Siberian assassin was there to greet him at his house. And then there's this. The backstory is that a mother tiger and her cubs had ventured beyond the boundaries of a park and had injured cattle in the process, so rangers went out to capture and relocate the trio. They successfully tranked and removed the cubs, but the mother was nowhere to be found. That was until about right here. The enraged mother cleared a full-grown elephant and managed to mutilate the mahout riding it, taking several fingers with her, and the fury on 4 legs was never seen again. But the most infamous big cat crash-out came...
I mean, they didn't even manage to catch her. She did her damage, and then she disappeared. She probably assumed her cubs were dead. She probably did that because she thought they had killed the cubs, and she did what she did and then took off. She probably was raising a new litter somewhere at this point, if they never saw her again. Now okay, one story where I feel sorry for them because they were trying to do something good. They were trying to relocate the tigers to a better place. They went about it the wrong way. I wouldn't have taken the cubs first. I would have waited until I got the mother out the way and got her sedated and you know, captured and moving along, then get the cubs. They did it in the wrong order. But okay, this one, the first time where I have sympathy for the humans involved. The first time, because they were not out there with the intent of poaching or mutilating or just being jerks. They were trying to do something, they were trying to do good, and it just didn't work out for them.
Came in the early fury on 4 legs was never seen again. But the most infamous big cat crash out came in the early 1900s, when a tiger dubbed the man-eater at Jumpawat killed 436 people, giving her the highest human body count of any single animal. And it was discovered that the cause was a cripplingly debilitating tooth injury that forced her to go after easier prey. And that's the thing I do want to mention. I know I had fun with the crash out concept, but really...
Okay, if that's true, that could still be a story of somebody doing something to her first. Like, we'll most likely never know. We'll most likely never know, but I'll give that one a 50-50. That one could have been provoked still, because we don't know exactly what happened to the tiger. All right? 50-50 on that one. One story where I actually have sympathy. One story where it's like a toss-up. All the rest of them, poachers, hunters, and everything, y'all deserved it. Y'all deserved it. I'm sorry.
After easier prey. And that's the thing I do want to mention. I know I had fun with the crash out concept, but really all the tiger was ever guilty of doing was what came naturally. And that really goes for every animal on this list. Tatiana wouldn't have had to die and take someone's son with her if they hadn't gone and tested her killer. Travis was an overweight, socially stunted, Xanax-consuming time bomb that some woman decided to keep inside as a pet. Even the whole Elefino mess started with poachers destroying and fragmenting their families and probably giving the pachyderms PTSD. Like, I'll joke around and stuff for comedic effect, but I'm not actually out here judging animals by human standards. Cause he said something real before he got Chris rocked and left with Fresh Prince.
Talk about the tiger went crazy. That tiger ain't go crazy. That
tiger went tiger.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother. There's no church in the wild and no judge in the jungle, so don't expect animals to follow either. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Look at that. They're loving too. That was defensive. That dude would have stayed. He would have got stomped out by that elephant, but that elephant was defending someone that apparently cares about, or at the very least, felt sympathetic towards. So just like us, a range of emotions, a spectrum, if you will. And because we can't actually verbally communicate with them, sometimes certain actions get lost in translation and certain things happen. Most of the time, it's our fault. Definitely. Sometimes a mix-up, and the animals themselves don't understand the concept of a mix-up or misinterpreting. They interpret and then they act, whether they're right or wrong. But again, they're just doing what comes natural to them. So we always have to remember that while we can identify many animals as being very intelligent, they're not really as intelligent as we are, for the most part. There's a couple that seem to be there, like elephants and dolphins, but for the most part, we are the most intelligent. We're able to understand on a level beyond all the rest of them. So we can't blame them for not being able to comprehend at the same level, at the same pace. What we can do is take the proper precautions and not provoke them. Because once provoked, oh man, it goes down. It goes down. But anyway, this one was a great one. I loved it. I'm pretty sure y'all enjoyed this one, so anyway, be sure to like the original video. I know Casual Geographic works hard on these videos, most definitely. And as always, till next time, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're trying to get the numbers up on this channel, get it growing like the music channel. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next one. So till next time, we're out of here. So as always, on to the next one.